Xcn on its way to the pits of hell as expected. Clear as day, people are sick of it and moving to ZBCN. If we go down, Xcn is a scam. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, I am going to start covering this coin. So if you are holding this coin or a fan of this coin, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, yes, my computer is still a little bit iffy, so I don't know if I'm going to be streaming later today. A lot of this is pre-recorded in advance, so we will, I don't know when this is going to be uploaded necessarily. It's actually could be uploaded technically after a live stream, if that live stream happens or not. Listen, is this coin a scam? From the research I have done, from what I've seen, there is no indication this coin is a scam. People call everything nowadays a scam just because it goes down, but they don't understand why it is going down, which is why I love doing technical analysis, which is why I love covering the charts on this channel. So let's just jump into it. Let's do a very, very small recap to see what happened with this coin. And then we're going to talk about the present and we're going to talk about the future. We can see this coin actually went absolutely nuclear pretty much mid-January, right? This coin went from what? Like 0.002, right? Generally to all the way up to 5 cents. So insane gains if you were holding this token. Now, unfortunately, I was not, but maybe you did, and maybe you cashed out, or maybe you're still holding, thinking it would have went higher. I do know this coin is overall going to go higher when we look at the bigger picture. But where is this coin going to go on the smaller time frame and in the short term? Well, we can see that we had this big rally. We had a very, very nice correction. We take it from the top to the start of the rally, right? More or less from the top to the start of the rally. We can see that we actually did correct a lot, and we corrected 88%, which is like some of the most fundamental pullbacks you get. Now, I did expect this coin to be going lower, like we talked about on this channel a couple days ago, right? There's zero indication for this coin to start going to the upside as of yet. But it doesn't mean, right? It doesn't mean this coin won't go to the upside. Some coins move differently. This coin clearly moves in bursts from the data we see. So I expect things to start going down, to start going sideways, to accumulate, to be able to have enough buying power to push it up very, very high, very, very quick. We can see that we did have some kind of resurgence over here back in the beginning of April. And then we can see we've been pretty much going sideways. We've been slowly accumulating, selling out, right? We can see this 4-hour institutional candle, right? Boom, tapped into it. And if you know anything about me in this channel, is that I love the the three tap philosophy rule, where we can see that practically this line went into this zone, this line went into this zone, and obviously this is point number 1, which is a key indicator that we are and will be selling off, which obviously now it looks a little bit like hindsight, but even when I did cover this on live streams, I already said a couple days ago that I did expect this coin to be going lower and lower. Corrections are normal for coins. Corrections are healthy for coins. If you want your coin to have more longevity, for it to be more stable, for it to pump better, you want these types of pullbacks. Sure, in the short term, it might be annoying. Maybe the stress is going to start eating at you because you see your coin going down slowly but surely. Maybe you have a little bit of a green day and you think, oh my gosh, we're so back. But then you see a bigger red day the next day. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, do not worry. This is just how coins work. The fun part, where it's consistently green, does not last very, very long. Okay? That is just how it works. But fortunately for you, altcoin season is still not here, which means, right, this is not the final pump. This coin will have this cycle. I can promise you that, right? Unless, of course, something fundamentally happens extremely wrong, with this project, like let's say they screw something up or the owner does this or whatever, right? You get the point. Unless something goes fundamentally super wrong on the coin side, then this coin is pretty much promised to go up a lot. Okay, so we can see we have been accumulating here, we have been selling out, doing the triple tap, and now we sold to the downside. This is good, and this was expected because there's a lot of imbalance. Imbalance is when something pumps up very, very quickly and doesn't have real support and resistance, okay? But usually what it means for the market is that, yes, it is going to correct it. Now, we do have some down here, but I don't believe we will be going below, the 0.008. The reason why I say this is because of what Bitcoin is expected to do over the next few days. I overall expect Bitcoin to go to 120K by mid-June. What supports my data? What supports everything? Well, even just something like global liquidity, if we use one example without going into too much detail, right? If we take the global liquidity and we look at the weekly chart, we can see that, boom, when we take it from the top global liquidity, we go to here, it is 91 days. When we take it from the bottom of global liquidity to the bottom of Bitcoin, 91 days. And we are somewhere over here. We were just at these bottoms, right? Boom, 91 days, which is why we had a sell candle. Now, technically, we were supposed to see some type of big pump, but sometimes with this, it's not going to be perfect, right? Just because the line pumped big doesn't mean Bitcoin is going to pump big right away. But overall, I do expect Bitcoin to pump big, right? Most likely, obviously, this week is not going to happen because there's only Sunday left, but we still have this point and this point of global liquidity, which means I do expect 120K Bitcoin sooner than later. And why 120K specifically? Well, because we lined up the global liquidity perfectly with the charts, right? I took the bottom global liquidity, lined it up perfectly with the bottoms. And right now, right, obviously, it's not lined up perfectly, but when we did line it up perfectly, these tops over here did suggest 120K Bitcoin. So with that being said, I do expect our coin, right? I do expect our coin to start doing well. First, it needs a little bit of a correction, but I don't think this correction is going to take super, super long. Maybe just a few short weeks. Now, you might think that is long. Guys, not that long in this cycle, okay? It is not that long, objectively speaking. Now, here's the thing. We have a very, very narrow trend line, which is good, right? Because that means things are going to sell faster. They're going to sell off more aggressively. And the beautiful thing is when we do go down, most likely to roughly, I would say 1 cent, we're most likely going to start seeing some type of reversals, and then we're going to start going up quicker. The reason why I say 1 cent, ladies and gentlemen, is because we can see last time when we went down with this big leg, we didn't fill up all of the imbalance. So I don't expect all of this imbalance down here to get necessarily filled up. Plus, we could also see that we do have two very big points of support, which is, a little bit under the cent, but we also have this area over here. Now, yes, it is a little bit of a wide range, but you got to remember that, I'm just here to give you general zones. If I was supposed to give you trading ideas, then, I would obviously have to look at more details and trade in the moment than necessarily just trade off a zone. But yeah, I do think roughly the 1 cent, the 0.9, the 1.1 cent, that's going to be the general area where we pull back to. And that's where I expect for us to start breaking to the upside. Overall, I do believe this project is going to do very, very well this cycle. We are at the bare minimum, obviously going to take out certain tops. We could also use this trend line, right? We could also use this trend line over here, which is perfect because that means we are in a aggressive channel, right? So once we kind of start going down here, boom, 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 boom. Once we start flipping, we are going to go up very, very quickly. The next relevant zones I expect for this token are pretty much back to the 2.7 cents and then obviously back to 5 cents. Ladies and gentlemen, once we get to these prices, we will take it from there. And obviously, once we get to closer to these bottoms, we will take it from there too. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully you got a lot of information out of it. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye. Portfolio reviews, economic and global updates and news, frequent up-to-date technical analysis, and a very supportive community, sell and buy calls, and trading education is provided. If that sounds good to you, now is the time to act. Once the markets start moving, there is no I should have, coulda, woulda. Now is the time. If you want to take things to another level, we have the blueprint that covers everything from A to Z in crypto that you need. No fluff, no bullshit, just the most important news, fundamentals, and technicals to have you succeed in these markets.